completely upended as a result of COVID. Having served as governor during many challenges, I know a thing or two about the importance of strong and steady leadership in times of crisis. Trust me when I say that I have full confidence that Lou and Josh are the leaders Guam needs at this pivotal time in our history. Lou and Josh have led our island through some of our darkest times, and because they stayed the course, our island is on the verge of a recovery that will infuse life back into an economy thirsting for a fresh start. I've said it before, and I mean it still. People of Guam, you're still the one.
This is Governor Lou Leon Guerrero, and I approve this message.
A New York City cop asking the highest court in the land to block his firing over vaccine refusal.
At the height of the COVID pandemic, then New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio ordered that all workplaces in the city only admit vaccinated workers. On Thursday, lawyers for NYPD Detective Anthony Marciano asked the U.S. Supreme Court to stop the city from firing Marciano and other workers who refused to get the vaccine. The detective, a 10-year veteran of the force, was one of a small percentage of civil servants who eschewed the shot. His argument is that he has natural immunity to COVID-19 and that he believes those vaccines to be unsafe. Marciano's lawyer is asking that the city be blocked from enforcing the rule until a pending appeal is resolved. Karen McHugh, Fox News.
President Biden Thursday comparing Republican ideology to semi-fascism. Speaking to a Democratic National Committee campaign event in Maryland, the Republican National Committee calling the president's remarks despicable. As the record search of migrants continues, Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas visited the border again Thursday.
After landing in Del Rio, he traveled to Eagle Pass, where the secretary visited a Border Patrol processing facility, which opened last month. The 153,000 square foot facility sits on 24 acres and has a capacity of 1,000. Then Mayorkas traveled to a park in Eagle Pass that sits right on the Rio Grande River, and he met with boots on the ground. This is something that he has done with all now 10 trips since this crisis began, yet still no signs of the surge ending or even slowing.
Fox's Casey Stegall. The prosecutor investigating alleged efforts to try and influence the 2020 election in Georgia, seeking to compel testimony from former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and lawyer Sidney Powell. I'm Jack Callahan. This is Fox News.
Hafide, this is Severina. Here at APL, our expertise and extensive network can help you grow your business and reach out to more global markets. As a responsible carrier, APL is also committed to a sustainable future, whether it's protecting the environment or investing our efforts in giving back to the community. Our dedicated teams in Guam, Saipan, and on U.S. mainland are here to support you. Call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com.
Choice Broadcasting introduces their unbeatable lineup of morning show.
Hands down winners of Guam's morning radio battle.
Daryl Lizama grooves his way through Boss 104 playing Guam's favorite classic hits.
Morning Mouth Ray Gibson shakes the cage on 93.3 The Point.
And now, we are proud to announce the Morning Blender with Kyle Mandapat, mixing it up at sunrise on Star 101.
If you're an advertiser trying to reach the most valuable ears, we've got the shows that listeners have been tuning into for decades.
One call gets all three.
671-888-7346. That's 888-REIO.
Welcome to Tall Tales with Bob Klitzkie, the only show on talk radio where common sense is a lot more common. Phone lines are now open at 888-TALK. That's 888-8255. And now, The Point proudly brings you Tall Tales with Senator Bob Klitzkie.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Boy, I like this. I'm going to do it again, Jose. I like the sound of it so much.
Carry on.
Yeah, I'm going to pretend that my name is Pete Santos. Yeah. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What a great way to start a radio program. I'm just, You know, I'm surprised that some of the guys over at Fox News aren't copying me on that one, but oh well. So next we go to Demi Ekotny. And when I read what they put out today, I look back at the days when they run the PAP, the softballs, and the news stories recast as editorials, maybe as the good old days. Because as regular tailgaters know, back in the day when both newspapers ran editorials, I had my blue pencil. I go through and look for English grammar errors, English usage errors, faulty editorial theories, etc. And having done that, I compare the two, give the coveted blue star to the better of them, with the understanding that the blue star never goes by default. And of course, you'll remember that when I used to do that, I haven't given a blue star for, I think, probably the last time I gave one was to Troy, and he's not even, in a paid newspaper. So, but it was related to me that back in the day when I was really doing it, when I really had a good Demi Ekotny going, or actually when the newspapers did, if you were standing somewhere in the building of the newspaper that got the Blue Star Award and standing outside the door to the editorial boardroom when the announcement was made, you could hear the champagne corks popping. Nowadays, I think about the only thing you're going to hear is somebody throwing an empty noodles paper cup in the Dipsy dumpster. So today, here we go. Our view, student loan forgiveness, payment assistance programs help struggling professionals. A generation of student loan borrowers, including those living in Guam, may rest a little easier should the Biden administration's student loan forgiveness proposal survive the legal challenges ahead. Joe Biden now is being called Hood Robin because it's just exactly the opposite of Robin Hood, of the legend of Robin Hood. Now, we were told that Robin Hood stole from the rich and gave to the poor. That's why we're calling our president Hood Robin, because he's stealing from the poor and giving it to the rich. And he's probably also acting ultra-virus because he doesn't have the authority to do what he says he's going to do. Unfortunately, can we have the Law and Order notebooks, Jose? He may get away with it because although he doesn't have the authority to do what he's doing, it's going to be very difficult to find someone who has standing to challenge what he's doing. The fact that you went to school and paid your own way does not give you standing. I don't want to go into it too hard. I'll wait until it's up on the skyline, and I will tell you why he probably will get away with it, even though what he's doing is illegal. Okay, so going on with this so-called editorial. The president on Thursday announced a loan forgiveness plan that could cancel up to $10,000 debt for borrowers with the greatest financial need. For those who also receive Pell Grants, which are reserved for undergrads with the most significant financial need, the federal government would cancel up to an additional $10,000 in federal loan debt. Now, I never got a Pell Grant or one of these student loans, so my math may be faulty, because I had to pay my own way through school. But I think 10,000 plus 10,000 equals 20,000. Am I close, Jose?
I think you're right on the money.
We welcome his announcement to bring student debt to relief to millions of lower and middle Americans, including thousands of Guam. Now, if you had any doubts about whether this was good or bad, here's the test, the litmus test. Governor Lou Leon Guerrero stated in a press release, I have instructed the staff of the government of Guam Relief Center to work closely with the U.S. Department of Education and make the necessary preparations to provide immediate assistance relative to receiving the student relief. So the government of Guam Relief Center is a place where you go if you're looking for freebies, basically. I think there's a move to rename it the Bread and Circuses Department, but I'm not real sure on that one. Well, if you can dispute the value of higher education in all of its forms, a university degree does not come cheap. Although some of the university degrees you can get are pretty cheap. Anything that ends in the word studies, it probably isn't worth a plug nickel. The cost is often more significant for families supporting undergraduates who are paying out-of-state tuition costs throughout the country. So many of these students use a combination of family income and financial aid to complete their journeys to graduation day. Wow. Okay, well, I've got my own rant that I want to go into here, but I got an email from another tailgater here that I think really covers a lot of the bases and a good place to start, and I'll pick it up and put my own 2 cents worth in after I read it. This is from, let's see, Tammy Hildreth, Guam Animal Hospital, the Hildreths of Guam Animal Hospital. And here's what Tammy says. For those of us who went $50,000 in debt to get our education, worked full 40 hours a week during our education, and then took another almost 15 years of eating McCheese, no vacation, and working 60 or 70 hours per week to pay off the loans, the Biden loan bailout is an insult to our hard work, dedication, and sacrifice. And that's in bold type, so I'm going to read it again. The Biden loan bailout is an insult to our hard work, dedication, and sacrifice. One must pick a career that pays off the investment of your education. If you studied underwater basket weaving in college or similar social studies, that's on you. Actually, you know, underwater basket weaving used to be the cliche that we used to address the scholarships that varsity athletes went to school on. But given all of the social warrior courses that colleges and universities offer nowadays, underwater basket weaving is an emblem of academic excellence compared to those courses. Those who chose an education that had future employment were not lucky, but thought ahead. They worked hard and made sacrifices in their lives to gain success they now enjoy, and they continue to do so to support their kids and help them succeed. Generational wealth, correct? Yeah, it's one of the reasons that people work hard. They want their kids to have a better life than they had, no matter how good their life was. It's simply not fair to those who did the right thing to pay for the education of others. The social unrest of the government picking winners and losers will split this country to the point of civil crisis, if it hasn't already. Those who make this country run are tired of carrying the weight of others who don't, and then demonize those that they make this country function. Biden is doing nothing but buying votes because his policies on international relations, the border, and most of all the economy are complete disasters. Almost $1 trillion in 1 month of vote buying. You know, Tammy, I hope you're listening. I suspect you are. I know you're working pretty hard out there at Guam Animal Hospital, but they could really use you at the Daily News. You know how to write an editorial. They don't. Loans can be deferred based on economic need or have the interest forgiven, but the principal should be paid. That is more than generous for those who made bad decisions. The working class of lesser educated should never have to pay for the education of those who should be able to support themselves. Absolutely. Yeah, very well done, Tammy Hildreth, Guam Animal Hospital. Good job. So, and I'm going to hammer on some of those things myself. So you take the kid that went to Harvard and got a degree in female studies, ethnic studies, African Americans, whatever, right? Paid, and got a loan to go to Harvard and kind of coasted through it, had a pretty good time in college, got out with a degree. And with that kind of degree from Harvard, he can probably get a job teaching the same BS at some other school, right? And, of course, he's supposed to pay back his loan, but not when we've got Hood Robin as president. Now, you take the guys that didn't have the chance to go to school. Let's see, they pursued a trade. They went to work as apprentice plumbers. And the way it works, you go to school as a plumber's apprentice, and then there will be a trade in tech or a community college or something like that in your neighborhood where you can go to class one night a week and for maybe 2 or 3 years. And when you're done, you leave there with a journeyman's ticket, which means that a master plumber is going to pay you more for your service. So you work for a master plumber as a journeyman, and you once again go back to those schools and work hard. And it's probably harder to be a plumber than it is to be a lawyer, although both of them deal with lead. So then you finish your master plumber, you take a test, you're certified as a master plumber, and you can open your own shop. And you can make a fair amount of money. But who pays for all that stuff? Not the government. You pay for it yourself. And that's kind of the basic deal with kids that don't go to college. Probably the lucky ones, for crying out loud, we need them. And when they're finished with their education and their OJT, they actually know something. Unlike so many people that go to these nothing BS social justice courses and leave school dumber than when they started, because they instead of learning something, they ingested all of this left-wing propaganda, critical race theory, on and on and on and on. So, Biden's kind of in a contest with himself. I thought, when he pulled the disaster of the withdrawal from Afghanistan, I thought, man, he's going to have a hard time topping this. I'll give him credit. Hardly a month goes by that he doesn't do something even more stupid. And this is it. And, of course, Tammy just lays it right out. He's pandering to the voters. He's pandering to his base because the Democrat Party is no longer the party of the working man. The Democrat Party is the party of the Northeast wealthy establishment. The Hollywood monocular, the folks in Hollywood, all the famous people out there, etc., both the coasts, and they pay no attention to the American outback whatsoever. Another example is what's called SALT, state and local taxation. When Trump was president, he took a lot of the SALT out of the income tax process, because until Trump was president, a taxpayer could take a deduction for the state and local taxes that he paid. He could deduct that from his income and his federal income tax return. Well, who pays the most in state and local income tax? The union member who works over there at the local sweatshop, or the guys that own big mansions out on Martha's Island, Martha's Vineyard, or, the Manhattan elites, etc. So Trump said, first 10 grand, only over 10 grand can you deduct it. Well, a lot of them can still make the deduction, but they don't like it. And they've been pushing really, really hard to put the old SALT deduction back in place. Another example of hood robbing. Okay, so much for Zemi Cotney. Thank you very much for your contribution, Tammy. Very well chosen words on an extremely important topic. Glad you were able to contribute. All right, let's see what we've got on the card here. And a friendly reminder, folks, of what today is. Today is Tailgaters Day. Well, of course, every day is Tailgaters Day. Sunday through Sunday, every day is Tailgaters Day, but today is Tailgater T-shirt Day. So let's wear our Tailgater T-shirts on Friday. Let's fly that flag, and put it on at 4 in the afternoon. Take it off right after the show, and wear it all day Saturday when you're going down to Touray or wherever you're going, whatever political rally you're going or something like that. I ran into this guy, Roy Kanata, last weekend at Touray and talked to him a little bit about his campaign, and Roy's a tailgater. And I suggested to him, and I said, how's it going out there on the campaign trail? And he says, well, right now it's a tall tale. And I said, I'll give you a tip, and I won't even charge you for this tip. Wear your tailgater T-shirt out there in the campaign trail. You'll connect with a lot of voters. Yeah, I got one ordered, he said. So, Jose, how does a person go about ordering a tailgater T-shirt?
Let's see. The first thing they have to do is grow a beard. I mean, no beard.
They don't have to have a beard. Huh?
No.
Okay.
They can go to the Points website, which is very easy, thepoint.gu. And .gu because it's a domain here on Guam. And look for the link. You'll see a really scraggly-looking guy's beard with a really awesome T-shirt underneath it.
I don't know if the guy is scraggly. Maybe the beard is.
The beard's scraggly.
Yeah.
And the link is there. It'll take you to a separate third-party page, which is locally owned. And you'll be supporting local, and you'll be supporting Tall Tales.
Yeah. No. This is not the kind of business where you can say, I want to go in and take a look at the shirt. It's not that kind of business. It's not the kind of business where you can say, well, I'll just call up and order. You can't do that. The phone capability just isn't there. So to order, you go to the point.gu, go to the website, click on the link, and Jose posts it as an anchor on Facebook chat every day also, right, Jose?
It's right there right now.
Yeah, and then we know that let's have a look at Johnny Utah here. Yeah, there's Johnny Utah wearing his Tailgater T-shirt. So when you get your Tailgater T-shirt in the mail, it shouldn't take any longer than a week, probably less than a week. Johnny Utah is showing you how to do it. Do a selfie. Send the selfie to...
I have to look that one up really quick. It's the Points WhatsApp, 671. Oh, I don't want to give the wrong number out. I know it's 671, and then 797-8255.
Yeah, and put that in the chat too, will you, Jose?
Yes,
yeah. So just WhatsApp that selfie to us, and you will become famous.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Johnny. Well, Johnny Utah was famous anyhow. So there's Johnny Utah strolling around Temple Square in Salt Lake City wearing his Tailgater T-shirt. You could just imagine how awestruck the folks in Salt Lake City are. I suspect that Johnny's probably going to say, hey, Bob, can you send me a gross of those? I'm going to go into the retail T-shirt business here in Salt Lake. The demand is so extreme.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, I may have to order more than a gross of them. So that's where we are with the Tailgater T-shirts. And I mentioned before, this is a promotion for the show because the show is about the message, and the message is that there has to be a conservative there has to be a conservative outlet that tells the truth about things, rebuts the narrative when the narrative is contrary to the truth, the old red rice phenomenon. So the more people that watch Tall Tales, I think the better. And, of course, we don't advertise anywhere else. We don't advertise on another radio station, certainly. So things like the Tailgater T-shirt is the way that we get the word out that there's something on the radio and on Facebook that you can go if you are interested in the real truth and the real facts. So you, too, can become a tailgater warrior by wearing your Tailgater T-shirt out in the town. Okay, let me go back to see what's on the card here today. We've got, of course, Paul Zerzan versus systemic racism. We've got, let's see. We've got Anderson Air Force Base versus the Stranger, who we now have. And can you pop that one up there, Jose? We know that Stranger is Matt Topaznia. We've got the Daily Post versus Michael San Nicolas. We've got Art San Augustine versus Marijuana. Vandals versus Chris Barnett. Civil Service Commission versus the Mini Hatch Act. Christiane versus transgenderism. And there's a really neat one that if I don't get to today, I'll get to on Monday. LGB versus T. Dissension amongst the ranks of the dishonorable. Okay, so here we go. I don't think I'm going to spend any time on systemic racism other than just show you, I'm just going to show you the picture. Remember that the rice is red. We're going to take a short break, and we'll come back to the Mystery Man right after the short break.
Pika's best radio station, but we're always looking for ways to be even better. Announcing the point on Alexa. In addition to our FM and HD radio feeds, our incredible app, informative website, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live, you can now tell Alexa to stream The Point. And your smart speaker will start playing whatever we're saying. News and views 24/7 with your 4-word command. Alexa, stream The Point.
I'm Dr. Sam Abini Young. I've always believed in the value of education, effort, humility, and accountability. As your senator, I will prioritize the training and education of students and workers to support the rebuilding of our economy. I understand our community's need for affordable living and housing and the need for aggressive drug enforcement to stop its serious impact. And there's a need for smarter and smaller government, like a part-time legislature that works for Guam and having more efficient GovGuam departments. Please support me with one of your votes for senator to work for you on these issues. I'm Dr. Sam Abini Young.
Paid for by Friends of Sam Abini Young, Gina Ramos, Treasurer.
And now back to Tall Tales with Bob Klitzkie, the one radio show politicians don't want you to listen to. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Okay, here we go, back into Tall Tales. And let's see that picture of the Mystery Man again, Jose. Yeah, there he is. He's in the middle between Josh and Nancy. The guy standing between them and back. The guy with the shaved head. We found out his name is Matt Topaznia. And that the identification was that he's Josh's partner, but we haven't found out what the heck he's doing there with the governor, lieutenant governor, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. What charter does he have for being there? And I wish somebody would tell me what that is.
Maybe he drives the company van.
Could be. I mean, that'd be a good reason for him to be there, right? Yeah. Maybe they brought him along to carry Nancy's suitcase.
Or at least the makeup case.
Yeah, or purse. I don't know. Yeah. So if anybody has any insight here, I'd like to solve that mystery. Otherwise, I would have liked to have been there myself, wearing my tailgater shirt, for crying out loud. Okay, next item on the card then is the Daily Post versus Michael San Nicolas, but I notice I got a caller already, and that would be none other than Johnny Utah. Okay. Hello, Johnny Utah, you're famous. Your picture goes on to the International Radio Facebook audience.
Yeah, Judge Bob, I saw that. I was watching it. I thought, I got to call in. He's put me all over the Facebook page and saying my name 100 times.
So how's the demand for those shirts? And when you're strolling around Temple Square, I bet you a lot of people stop and say, hey, that's a neat T-shirt. Where can I get one of those, right?
Well, I got to tell you, my wife is jealous. I think I'm going to have to order her one because she's very jealous of me listening to you and Ray's show. Whenever I'm listening to it, she says I ignore her. So I think I'm going to have to get her a T-shirt as well.
Ray was talking this morning about Clint Eastwood, some of his movies. One of his famous sayings was, man's got to know his limitations.
Yeah. Hey, I have a little monologue that I wanted to deliver considering tomorrow's election there. Is that all right?
You want to deliver a monologue?
Can I? Just a short.
Well, I just gotta warn you, Johnny. We handle monologues, but we can only have one person talking.
Okay, a dual log.
Beep beep. I gotta tell you, Johnny. We can handle a monologue, but we can only have one person talking. So, go ahead, Johnny.
So, well, and I was listening to your statement about that letter that you read from the lady that runs the animal shelter or the animal hospital there, which is very aggravating because I don't think the fact that they're using the HEROES Act, which is a wartime national emergency act, to implement this payment of woke, liberal wokesters, basket weaving college degrees, and they're using the excuse of COVID-19 of a COVID-19 emergency. You know that's really aggravating. But what I want to start is with the governor, and if you look at the governor Lou Guerrero's website, her page, her Facebook page today, it speaks a lot about where she stands with the people of Guam, because if you look at her posts just in the last 12 hours, I mean, this is the day before she's asking everyone to go out and re-elect her. What does she have on there? She has the admiral from the Joint Marianas, you know, because the military is obviously her number one importance on Guam, not the people of Guam. And then she has a post of Nick Cannon with a young lady that was Miss America, I guess. And Nick Cannon is a deplorable adulterer who has multiple children, 10 children, I think, from 10 different women, 2 different women pregnant at the same time right now. You know, that's who she's posting on her Facebook page with, you know, an adulterer. And her third post is about the one that letter was in regards to, which was about the go get your free money for college. You know, go get your money. Make sure you sign up because the government of Guam is going to help you. You know, get your loans paid off that you didn't, that you know you really shouldn't have even had from the beginning, because you know you're a woke elitist Democrat and you don't owe anything. You know, everything's for free. The whole world is going to give you everything. It's going to be all on the taxpayers' backs of the mainland, the blue collar workers, the firemen, the police, the medical, the construction workers, the plumbers, the electricians, all the people, the truck drivers, everybody that makes this country move is who's going to be paying these student loans off. And that's what this governor wants you to do. She wants you to get a handout. She wants you to go get this. This is what's on her Facebook page. Her Facebook page is not about what's going on and what matters on Guam. What's going on and what matters on Guam? Crime, poverty, a homeless woman dying on the side of the street in outside of the Micronesia Mall just yesterday that no one was even paying attention to. You know, what about her? Who's taking care of? You know, nobody's focused on that. Nobody cares about that because that woman doesn't give her federal money for having COVID. You know, none of that is on her Facebook page. GMH is not on her Facebook page. There's no plan on her Facebook page or anything that she's saying in any live talks the day before her election about what she's going to do for the people of Guam. What is she going to do for the people of Guam? Nothing except take your money. I mean, look, and you're having a mass exodus of the island. I have more family members from my wife's side of my family.
Johnny Utah, you have to remember, you have no say.
Exactly.
Even Jose was stricken by it because now he has to call himself Joe. He used to be Jose, but after he heard what the governor said, he said, I have no say, so I'm just Joe.
No, there is no say. You have these constant declarations of health emergencies that are just dictatorial Marxist tools that are being used to destroy the true democracy that is the America, the United States, and what Guam stands for. You know, it's just, this is a dissolving of the fabric of the freedoms that we enjoy as Americans and as citizens of the United States. And, you know, it's going to come to a point where those Chinese that are showing up on the beaches are going to be treated better than the Chamorros that are there, you know, that are voting for Luo Guerrero to be the next governor. You know, everyone there needs to wake up and stop being woke. If they don't, I'll tell you what. Here's my prediction: if MSN does not win tomorrow and Luo Guerrero wins tomorrow, I think there's a good chance you just voted all the Republicans in come the November election.
Okay, Johnny. Well, you sure had a mouthful. I guess you got here just got on the phone just in time, huh?
Well, I was, you know, she's playing right along with Biden. She's following the Biden path.
Well, they're both Democrats. Hello, what do you expect?
They're a different breed of Democrat. They're this federalist government, this national government, Marxist, neo-Marxist Democrat.
Yeah. Well, you know, there used to be something called a blue dog Democrat, which was a sort of a centrist Democrat or a moderate Democrat, etc. But the blue dog Democrat is almost extinct. The only one left is Joe Manchin, and they even got to Joe Manchin on that so-called deficit reduction plan. So we got to keep fighting, Johnny Utah.
Yeah. Well, Michael St. Nicholas, I think, is the last Democrat that is against abortion. That's pro-life.
I think so. Johnny, it's good to talk to you. You can go back out and stroll around Temple Square and build up a market for your tall tale T-shirts out there again. Good talking to you.
I'll get on that right away.
And buy one for your wife, for crying out loud. I don't want to.
I will.
I have enough people mad at me as it is. I don't want to have your wife mad at me too. And by the way, I was just looking at Facebook here, and this lady named Donna Mela Martinez.
Yeah, mine's mad at me now. Thanks, Johnny.
Yeah, what did she say? She said, "What? If I could, can you find it, Jose?"
How dare our husbands not get their wives a Tailgater T-shirt?
Yeah.
You know who did get his wife a Tailgater T-shirt? Mr. Colin Clark.
I know that. Yeah, and
That's a good man.
And they both made the Rogues Gallery of Tall Tales. They're famous. Okay, moving on the card here, we've got Daily Post versus the same Michael San Nicolas. And again, today it's not what the Daily Post did, it's what they didn't do. I thought for sure all the hit pieces that they've been running, that the new management has been running against Michael, I thought they'd have one today, the day before the election for sure. But then, of course, people read the paper on Saturday morning, too, don't they? So we'll just see how that one comes out. Next item on the card is I have repeat versus leaving, and we're going to do a recording of leaving as you were repeats monologue. We'll only do one because he really laid it out as far as leaving in January. What a horrible job leaving on January is doing. I can't wait to get to the polls tomorrow, and I'll be leaving after I vote for Doug Moylan. Let's see. I've got Art St. Augustine versus marijuana. That's next on the calendar. I think. Yeah, Art St. Augustine is the director of public health and social services, and this is Art versus the versus marijuana. It goes like this. The director of public health, Art St. Augustine, issued a stern notice today to businesses and all people that they are prohibited by local and federal law to commercially store, prepare, manufacture, or sell cannabis-infused foods on Guam. Wow. I guess Art never read that book, I Love You, Alice B. Toklas, by Gertrude Stein. Right, Jose? Yeah, so no marijuana-infused brownies are legal. So the way I read this article here, if you have marijuana at home or some form of cannabis, as were THC, you better not do anything with it but either eat it in the raw form or smoke it. As if you put it in any form of food, if you as you were, it says commercially, it is against local and federal law to commercially store, prepare, manufacture, or sell cannabis-infused foods. The notice, despite the legality of cannabis for adult use consumption, comes on the heels of the government of Guam's failure to stand up both a medical and adult use cannabis industry years after their respective legislative mandates. The laws, one of which was passed by a referendum of voters, has required certain standards and permits to be met in order for a business to sell cannabis products. However, the laws have allowed for the possession and consumption of personal amounts of cannabis while the government implements rules and regulations for the standing up of commercial cannabis sales. St. Augustine, an appointee of Governor Lulian Guerrero, who apparently forgot that tomorrow is election day. Yeah, come on, Art. This is not the kind of stuff you come out with in the week of a primary election that your boss has spent almost $1 million on. You hold the bad news until afterwards. St. Augustine pointed to the Guam Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, Section 40109, subsection 2, subsection C, which states a food shall be deemed to be adulterated if it is or bears or contains any food additive which is unsafe within the meaning of the federal act. That federal act is the Guam law's federal counterpart, the U.S. Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration does not recognize CBD, THC, or other cannabis-derived compound as generally recognized as safe for use as an ingredient in food, St. Augustine wrote in his notice. As a result, cookies, brownies, and other food products that have CBD, THC, or other cannabis-derived compounds that are manufactured or sold commercially are illegal. Where's that gavel, Jose? They are illegal. St. Augustine has ruled them illegal. And good call. You know, I run into things where on the internet where people sit down and eat marijuana-infused food, and they eat too much of it, and they have a really rough time afterwards. And that's the danger with some of this do-it-yourself type stuff. The user has no way to properly titrate the drug. Titrate is a nice word, meaning knowing how much of a medication you need to take to get the desired effect and to avoid any danger. So if you're going to take any drugs, legal, illegal, whatever, you have to be able to titrate the drug, how much is going to kill you. Like fentanyl, I'm almost afraid to say the word. That stuff is so dangerous, One drop of fentanyl is enough to kill the world population of the world 3 times over, stuff like that. Right? Yeah, so...
he has a point there, because it's not just marijuana products. I know it was a convenience when they started making children's cough medicine as gummy bears or lollipops.
Yeah.
I'm like, who are they trying to kid or danger? Because if it looks too appetizing and you can't gauge it as medicine, then they're going to take more than once. And I've heard a lot of stories where kids have been rushed to the emergency room because they thought this was candy.
Yeah.
Now, how many stories are we going to hear of kids who thought those cookies were for them?
Exactly.
Yeah, so there does need to be some sort of scrutiny.
Yeah, a lot of scrutiny, because marijuana, notwithstanding, all of the loose talk, is something that has to be dealt with very, very carefully. It's not the panacea that the pro-marijuana gang wants you to think it is. And even if it is better than alcohol, that's not the solution. Okay, next on the card, I've got Vandals versus Barnett. Where is that? Yeah, I got it right here. Vandals versus Barnett. But I got to take a break first, and when I come back from the break, I suspect another Joe. No, it's Sean on reinstating mask mandate at health facilities. That's an interesting topic, Sean. I'm looking forward to that. Short break.
Come try Guam's original Chamorro restaurant with Pica's best 5 years running. Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Experience Chef Peter's candied salmon over scallion coconut rice, octopus to naktak, Chamorro platter, and their award-winning gourmet hamburgers. Or if you're looking for something healthy, try their keto-friendly menu. Come and enjoy Mezcla's half-a-day service at their Hagåtña and Grand Plaza Tuman location. Call their Hagåtña location at 479-2652 for reservations.
Wow, nice smile. So perfect and all.
Thanks. I owe it all to Dr. Robert Yang and his smile team. They do wonders for a healthy, happy mouth.
Got teeth? Don't wait until they hurt. Schedule your routine checkup and cleaning with Dr. Yang and his smile team. Suite 119 in the East West Business Center, Upper Tumon. Call 647-8702 or 3.
The best thing that happened to teeth since toothpaste.
Dr. Yang and his smile team.
They make smiles happen.
So here we are back on Tall Tales, and we got Sean who wants to talk about the mask mandate at medical facilities. Go for it, Sean.
Oh, hey, Bob. I just went to get my prescription filled, and this is the first I heard that this mandate is back in healthcare facilities. And it just really rubs me the wrong way, because I was done with COVID when COVID started. And we suffered through all that time with the masks and lockdowns and all this stuff. And now the governor is reinstating this. And, from my perspective, it doesn't do anything. I've never been vaccinated. I only wore a mask where I was required to wear a mask. And I've never gotten COVID. And it's, with all the things going on in the world right now, it's the least of my worries. And if she's trying to get votes by doing that, well, she don't have mine. That's for sure.
Didn't I hear recently that the CDC came out and basically said masks weren't effective? Isn't that the official word? So, so we know that masks are not effective, but we do know that making people do things kind of in a thoughtless fashion, even when they don't make a whole lot of sense, is a way to develop a certain kind of mental conditioning. So I still see people walking around outside with masks on. I see people driving around in a car by themselves with masks on. And the only thing I can get out of this is that they've been conditioned that, if the government says, put your left shoe on your right foot and your right shoe on your left foot, you'd see people stumbling around with their shoes on the wrong feet. And then if they did it long enough, and then the word came back on and said, reverse your shoes, people would still be running around with their shoes on the wrong feet. I don't know if the governor is this devious or not, but I sense from the very beginning that much of this whole COVID panic, Wuhan virus panic, was a means of social control. Because, when she comes out at that press conference and says, you have no say, and then does silly things like stopping cars out on Marine Corps Drive so a National Guardsman can come and tell you, wash your hands, wear your mask, and stay 6 feet away from people. There's got to be, sort of a warped animus behind all of this stuff. There has to be something more to it than just the mere appearance. You agree with me, Sean?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Yeah, so, it happened to me too. I can't remember where I was going, but, when we didn't have to do the mask thing, I didn't carry a mask. I didn't have any masks around. I was thinking about having a party for my friends, a mask burning party.
And I'd be there in a heartbeat.
Just like we used to burn mortgages when it was all paid off, So, I get up to the counter. Oh, I'm sorry, Sherry, where's your mask? I don't have any stinking mask. Well, you have to have a mask to come in. So I had to go around, hunt up a mask so I could go in. Just wasted a lot of time for nothing. So I'm on your side, Sean.
All right. I just wanted to bring that up and let everybody know about what's going on.
Yeah.
This really ruffles my feathers.
No, running the risk of advocating the same thing I just slammed the governor for. You probably don't need to wear a mask, but wearing a tailgater T-shirt is probably a good form of mental conditioning.
Absolutely.
It helps you get your head on straight and keep your head on straight. And the nice thing about it is when people see you, they'll say, this guy is reliable. He knows what he's talking about. He's right on. She's our kind of person. Good talking to you, Sean.
You too, Bob. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like a secret mandate that happened because I got caught up in a pharmacy/store, and I just went to get in something really quick.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, sir, no problem. We have masks for you." And they gave me something that was similar to like a gag. I couldn't breathe through it, and so I went and got my own also.
Yeah.
Which they accepted it, but it was like might as well not wear one because it was very flimsy.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
And CDC said it didn't do it, right?
It's a placebo. In the sense that it makes people feel good.
Yeah, or bad, as the case may be.
Right.
Yeah, you spell placebo backwards, and that's what it is. Okay, let's see. I got about 4 more minutes to go, huh? I don't want to start candidates versus Barnett before the big halftime show, so let me see what we got here in Facebook. Let's see. We got Jose Ted Pago Jr., we got Sandra Regis, Dave Duenas, Rico Blancaflor. And Rico says, happy Friday, everybody. Man, Rico, Friday's our worst day of the week. We hate Fridays because no tall tales for 2 whole days, 70 hours, 70, from 1800 on Friday to 1600 on Monday. No tailgaters, no tall tales, no Facebook. It's all Hey, wait a minute. Monday's a holiday, right?
Not this one.
The following one.
The following
Oh,
one.
thank God.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow.
I was
You
scared there.
almost made me crawl up in my Tall Tale
Really?
T-shirt all weekend.
A 2-day weekend is bad, but 3 days in a row with no tall tales. I started jonesing about noon on Saturday. Yeah, so thanks, Rico. I know you have our best interest at heart, but and I got Bill Fritten here. He wants to remind us of the roadblocks, the ops, the information station for the insaners. Yeah, we won't forget, Bill. Thanks for the reminder. And Rico comes back and says, once again, the Red Queen is using idiot Biden's shenanigans. Just a vote bribe attempt tomorrow. Vote for change. And Lonnie Salas is here with us. Mano Franklin, better known as Bunker. Bunker says, Guam is not safe. We need a fighter AG tomorrow. Vote for change. Vote for Douglas Moylan. Let's give Bunker a hand. And then we got Bonnie Suba, who says, knock, knock. Hey, y'all. You remember the old knock, knock jokes, Jose?
Who's there? Who's on first?
Yeah. Knock, knock, Jose.
Who's there?
Isabel.
Isabel who?
Isabel Necessary on a bike. It's the only one I can remember. Yeah. Sherry Iriarte is here and wishes good wishes to our international radio listening audience. And then, of course, I'm running into the to the pinned link to the T-shirt factory, the T-shirt store. Rico Blankerfor says, wear your Tailgaters T-shirt tomorrow to go to vote. Absolutely. Wear your Tailgater shirt to the polls. I'm going to wear mine for damn sure. All right, let's break for the big halftime show that Jose puts on every day.
Is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam, 93.3 FM and 104.3 HD3.
The judge orders the Trump search affidavit unsealed. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. But the judge who issued the warrant to search former President Trump's home has accepted all of the redactions requested by the Justice Department.
In his order, U.S. Magistrate Judge Bruce Reinhardt said the DOJ had met its burden of showing that its proposed redactions are narrowly tailored to serve the government's legitimate interest in the integrity of the ongoing investigation.
Fox's Kevin Corke. The Justice Department is supposed to release the redacted version of the affidavit by noon today, unless they appeal to a higher court to keep the entire thing under seal. On his social media platform, President Trump calling for the entire affidavit's release, saying he has done nothing wrong. Mark Zuckerberg says the FBI tipped off Facebook prior to the Hunter Biden laptop story breaking during the closing days of the 2020 presidential campaign to expect imminent Russian disinformation. Zuckerberg telling the Joe Rogan podcast Facebook lowered the ranking of stories about the laptop, meaning they appeared less often on users' newsfeed. Zuckerberg telling Rogan, quote, it sucks. A government agency in California ordering the phase-out of gasoline-powered vehicles.
The California Air Resources Board voted to progressively ban all gas car sales, mandating more than 1/3 of new vehicle sales be zero emissions by 2026, 3/4 of sales by 2031, and by 2035, 2025, every new car or pickup sold in California has to be zero emissions. But there are concerns, among them the capacity of California's all too often unreliable power grid to keep up with increased demand, the dependence on China for the raw materials to make EV batteries, the scarcity of chargers in many places, the range limits of electric vehicles, and the sheer cost.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt. America is listening to Fox News.
4 years ago, we promised to create a safe, fair, compassionate, and prosperous government. And despite a global pandemic that shut down our economy along with the rest of the world, we kept our island going.
You can't give up on hope. Each other's hand we hold. We're on a long, hard road when we're traveling together.
For all and not just some, for the many, not just one. And we're so far from done, we're all in this together.
We can make our way each and every day. You need a vote and say, keep us moving forward, forward with equality, forward and stability, forward and humanity. Keep us moving forward.
President Biden rallying Democrat voters just outside Washington last night.
A few thousand people packed into a high school gym in this D.C. suburb at a DNC rally headlined by President Biden.
We're just 76 days away from the midterm election. 76 days. And to state the obvious, there's a lot at stake.
The president told supporters the country is at an inflection point.
The safety of your kids from gun violence is on the ballot. And it's not hyperbole. The very survival of our planet is on the ballot.
President Biden touted the Inflation Reduction Act, the health care and climate change bill passed earlier this month by Democrats in Congress without any Republican support. In Rockville, Maryland, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
A man and a woman in Florida have pleaded guilty to trying to peddle First Lady Ashley Biden's diary. Amy Harris and Robert Kurlander could get up to 5 years in prison. Now brewing at Starbucks, more potential labor trouble.
The National Labor Relations Board contends that the coffee giant illegally withheld wage hikes and benefits from thousands of unionized baristas. The complaint filed by the board comes during a campaign by Starbucks and its interim CEO Howard Schultz to curb unionization efforts at its stores in the U.S. The NLRB is looking for back payments and benefits for unionized workers since May, among other requests. The board said that Starbucks' denial of benefits and raises to union workers was intended to discourage unions from forming. Starbucks has denied the accusations and says the company has been following NLRB rules. More than 220 U.S. Starbucks stores have voted to unionize since late last year. Hillary Barsky, Fox News.
State of Louisiana has freed Sullivan Walter from prison 36 years after he was wrongly convicted of rape as a teenager. The district attorney admitting there was evidence from the beginning could have cleared him. I'm Jack Callahan. This is Fox News.
Gas is expensive, so let the bank come to you. Through our remote deposit capture, you can deposit your checks into your account from your phone. And with our Dynamite Bank Pacific Visa debit card, you can use your money anytime, anywhere. It's the perfect combo.
Now we're banking on the future. Services to choose. Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender. Member FDIC. Crank it up.
Joyce Broadcasting introduces their unbeatable lineup of morning show.
Hands down winners of Guam's morning radio battle.
Daryl Lizama grooves his way through Boss 104 playing Guam's favorite classic hits.
Morning mouth Ray Gibson shakes the cage on 93.3 The Point.
And now, we are proud to announce the Morning Blender with Kyle Mandapat, mixing it up at sunrise on Star 101.
If you're an advertiser trying to reach the most valuable ears, we've got the shows that listeners have been tuning into for decades.
One call gets all three.
671-888-7346. That's 888-REIO.
halftime show. Jose produces a great halftime show every single day. I don't know how he does it, but he keeps them coming. And a new feature on Tall Tales here during the halftime show, we run the Rogues Gallery of tailgaters, folks that have sent us a selfie of themselves wearing their tailgater shirts. If you want to get in on that, if you want to be broadcast out to our international radio listening and Facebook audience, get yourself a tailgater shirt, do a selfie, and then WhatsApp us, do us on, what's the number, Jose?
The number is 671-797-8255.
Yeah, and when we get it, we'll add you to the Rose Gallery. You'll become famous. It'll be your time in the spotlight. I was just talking a little earlier here about tailgaters and tailgaters' wives, and that guy ought to buy his wife a tailgater T-shirt, and a lady named Donna Milla Martinez chimes in and says, yeah, these husbands who don't buy tailgater shirts for their wives. And then Jerica Clark, who you just saw there in the Rogues Gallery with her husband Colin, chimes in after I was kvetching about how much I hate the weekends because no Tall Tales over the weekend. And Jerica comes along and says, I enjoy the weekends because the hubby pays attention to me. Not during the week, because Tall Tales is his first wife. Yeah, well, far be it for me to argue with a man about his priorities. But Jericho, you got you a tailgater T-shirt anyhow, so it could be a whole lot worse. You got a tailgater T-shirt. You got 2 days of your husband paying attention to you. Sounds like to me you're going to be on a roll after about 1,800 today. Okay, back to the card here. I've got Vandals versus Barnett. Barnett being Chris Barnett, formerly known as Malfunction, who had a morning talk show on another radio outlet, the call sign of which my feeble memory has somehow washed out of its memory banks. I don't remember what station it was. I'm not trying very hard either.
No.
But now he's running for senator, and I kind of favored his campaign. He's not a shrinking violet. He's not going to be a backbencher who goes to sleep during the session. He'll be outspoken. Now, what he's going to talk about, I'm not sure of, because he's come out and one thing, he's blasted the idea of a part-time legislature, which doesn't get him very far with me. And then on a questionnaire about abortion, he didn't bother to respond. Not responding is the same as the functional equivalent of saying, I'm pro-abortion. So I suspect he'll make it through the primary, but I'm reserving judgment after that. Now, here's an article that ran in the Post about Chris Barnett. A senatorial candidate wasn't quote, wasn't shocked but bothered when he saw his face on a campaign sign was torched. Somebody actually took some sort of a flame device and burned that part of his campaign sign. It looks like they took a butane torch towards my face, said Daryl Christopher Malfunction Barnett about a campaign sign that he discovered was vandalized earlier this week. The sign in question, Barnett said, was for a family in Homatuk who had been waiting to proudly show support for the local media personality. Oh, what, they want to put my sign up? Oh, never mind. Oh, wait a minute, turned senatorial candidate, so that couldn't be me. Barnett and his family were bothered by the manner in which the sign was vandalized. My mother was really bothered by it because she's just concerned they use fire. And for her, fire's pretty serious, Barnett said. With the fire, I felt like, and my family felt like, it was really personal. And maybe this person who did it, which I don't know for whatever reason, was feeling vindictive. Barnett added, while also referring to vandalized signs of other candidates, such as Roy Kanata. Well, you know, with Roy Kanata, the law of averages are bound to catch up with you. You know, if there's only one firebug on the island and you got 1 million signs out there, chances are he's going to find your sign. Yeah, the story is that if Roy doesn't win the election, he's going into the sign business. Yeah, and I guess when someone vandalized his sign, Roy said to his friend, maybe it's a sign. Yeah, Barnett added, while also referring to vandalized signs of other candidates such as Roy Kanata, who, according to Post Files, had a sign vandalized when a sticker of a hamburger was placed next to his beef. Placed next to his face. I'm thinking of that old commercial. Remember the old hag saying, "Where's the beef?" Yeah. Following the discovery of the sign, Barnett did not feel the need to call the police. Well, I can understand that because they're all busy guarding the chief's motorcycle. He didn't feel the necessity to call the police, take the sign down, or even speculate on the motive of the vandalism, but instead took to social media to address the issue. I didn't want it to become a distraction, and coming from a background as a comedian, I just felt there's a way I could address this, but also make light of it and move forward. Barnett said of a video he posted on social media addressing the issue. I didn't see it. I don't want to let this because 1,000% the people I've met on the trail have been so encouraging and supportive and excited about my candidacy, and that's why I kind of addressed it the way I did, which is kind of tongue-in-cheek. A radio personality using tongue-in-cheek humor?
How dare you?
Yeah, because...
How dare you?
Because we're just going to keep moving forward, and there's way more people who are supportive of what I'm doing. According to Guam Police Department spokeswoman Officer Berlin Savella, a person could be arrested under suspicion of criminal mischief if they vandalized property. Criminal mischief can carry a sentence of between 2 days and a year, and the perpetrator could be ordered to pay a fine of $250 to $500 for the first offense and $1,000 for each subsequent offense. So if the same guy got Roy Kanata and Chris Barnett, it could be $1,000 worth of fines. So, you know, I think this is kind of interesting because in a perverse sort of way, the vandals did both these guys a favor. I'm looking at 2 pages of earned media here. I probably spent, 10 minutes talking about it on the air? Which I wouldn't have. Chris Barnett's name would not have come up had it not been for this article. And I suspect that he isn't knocking out a lot of earned media in either one of the paper publications or TV. So, in a way, you two guys, whoever did it, did you a pretty good sized favor.
Maybe it was the same guy who tried to hire Joseph Flores.
I bet it was.
The hitman.
The hitman, yeah. Okay, so much for Chris Barnett. And let's see. Going back to the CSC versus the Mini Hatch Act. I've got a story here today, and it's kind of a rehash, but I want people to remember this. The Civil Service Commission has officially signed the decision and judgment for the Mini Hatch Act complaint brought by a former employee of the Guam Behavior Health and Wellness Center. CSC staff concluded that several individuals at the Guam Mental Health, including the complainant, violated laws governing prohibited political activities. However, the violations were found to have been done indirectly I don't know what that means. And unintentionally, as though that's an element of the offense. And then the story says the CSC Board of Commissioners. I'm always just really tickled when I see reference to the CSC Board of Commissioners, because up there in that one building, we have two collaborative bodies, two tribunals. We have the Civil Service Commission over here, and then we have the Civil Service Commission Board over there. Now, I wonder what the board does that the commission doesn't do. Or is it harder to be a board member than a commissioner? Folks, if it's a commission, there is no board. There are no board members. Commissioners sit in a commission. But it happens all the time. Okay, the complaint was filed by former mental health employee Nicole Chargaloff, who alleged she received a campaign ticket at work from a human resources representative of all people that he didn't know, that contained a $25.
You had one job.
Yeah. A $25 King's Restaurant ticket to benefit the re-election campaign of Lou and Josh. The Mini Hatch covers political activities for government employees. It outlines a number of permitted and prohibited activities. Yeah. So the Civil Service Commission said, well, it was indirect, and they violated the law, but they were unintentional. Now, who does this favor when the Civil Service Commission does it? It's the governor, right? These are her employees.
I'd like to see their definition of indirect and unintentional.
Exactly.
Because nobody fell. Nobody did it on the side.
Yeah.
It was right then and there. And
at the work site, HR man doing it. Yeah. And not only that, it's a criminal offense. So if they couldn't do anything with it, they should have sent it to the chief of police.
Now, how is it that the whistleblower got reprimanded also?
Well,
or accused of being guilty?
Here's a ticket. Take this ticket, and you've got to turn the money into the director. That was the narrative, right? Taking the ticket, she should have said, I'm not taking any tickets under any circumstance. It's against the law for, to be handling these fundraising tickets at the job site. Get out of my face. Go away. Come with me to the director's office. I'm going to turn you in, Mr. HR man. And it was the HR director. That was the guy, according to another story. So, of course, when the Civil Service Commission gets out its can of whitewash, they must buy whitewash by the, they must have a huge tank out and back, like a big butane tank full of whitewash, because they use it all the time. Now, I turn again to my case. And, I'm a little embarrassed to admit that I kind of overlooked something here when I was analyzing it, and that is that the parties to the case here complainant is Robert Klitzkie, and I'm listed as an employee, which I find to be extreme. Some people may see that and actually think it's true. I think it's grounds for a slander suit, accusing a person of being a government employee when he's not. Versus Stephanie Flores, director. Now, she's a director of the clearinghouse in the lieutenant governor's office. And I said, well, hey, wait a minute. When I first went through this, I said, wait a minute. What about Roy Gamboa? He's the guy who's violating the law. Shouldn't his name be in there? He doesn't work for the government, remember? So there's nothing they can do to Roy Gamboa.
Mm-hmm.
Not a thing. Which is a real flaw in the system. Because the rule in Roy Gamboa's case is if you are a government employee and you want to run for office, turn in your papers and don't say anything to anybody about it. And then if you get caught, resign. No suspension, nothing, etc. No bad marks in your... And if they don't catch it and you're elected, the day you're sworn in, it's moot. Now, this is not a good system at all. So the only violator that the Civil Service Commission can bring in for the usual 20 lashes over the left wrist with a wet noodle. That is, if the hanging commissioners are there.
That one sounds extreme.
Yeah, it's only the really hard-nosed ones would extract a punishment like that. So Stephanie Flores is the only one that can be punished. She can be fired. She should be fired, or she can be suspended up to 30 days. But of course, Priscilla Tuncap said, "Nah, Gamboa is my nephew. I can't sit on this." Well, I could make the argument that there's no conflict of interest because Gamboa has nothing at stake here. He's not the guy that they're going to hammer. I wouldn't be dumb enough to make that argument because she'd probably vote against my side anyhow because he's her nephew. So as I left it, there are 6 commissioners. Only 5 can sit on this, and all 5 of them better be at the next Civil Service Commission hearing. But once again, if you stop and analyze it, when this happens, who does it help? The governor, because the real blame here goes to the lieutenant governor. He's supposed to know what goes on in his shop. If I knew that Roy Gamboa was a candidate, he certainly must have. He must have known that Gamboa was a candidate, not even from the beginning, but from the get-go, because these guys have rallies. They know who their candidates are. And even though he was still working in the lieutenant governor's office, lieutenant governor did nothing.
Well, the only thing that can be done is like what we're doing here. Let people know what their candidates did to get elected. Mm-hmm. Is it clean? Did they run a clean campaign?
Yeah.
Are there things they did under the table that got them to where they're at?
Yep.
And this is what needs to be exposed.
Yeah, well, Roy Gamboa, I haven't decided exactly who I'm going to vote for, but I'm not going to vote for Roy Gamboa, even if he does make it through the primary. And then I'd probably bet you dollars to donuts that he's going to lose. And the day after the election, guess where he's going to turn up?
Right back in the same office he kind of left.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so this whole thing is odoriferous. Not a very nice thing. I've got a story here about Gita versus the new hospital that I started the other day. I didn't finish it. I may finish it later on. Well, I guess I could finish it today because it talks in terms of Gita holds onto $148 million Guam healthcare study. As part of the planning process for the project, the Guam Economic Development Authority in May 2021 agreed to pay its contractor, Matrix, $148 million in federal funds to prepare several studies, including updated cost estimates, etc. Most of the required reports were due to Gita months ago, and the final report, a master plan, is due by the end of this month. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to come back to this, but I'm going to talk with Frenchie about, or I'm going to listen to Frenchie here for a little while about Gamboa. We're going to go to Wrigley Field for a minute, and actually it's too bad the Montreal Expos aren't playing anymore, because we could go to Expo Stadium in Montreal and look for Frenchie up there. Right after the break, we'll put Frenchie on the air.
Are you looking for a new place to hang out with your friends? Let's go along the sidelines at Sidelines Bar and Grill. Located at 154 Iriarte Road, Unit 4 and 5 in Tamuning behind Royal Bigs. Sidelines, a hidden gem with nothing but great things to offer. Great atmosphere, great food, top shelf drinks, and a great team. What are we waiting for? Let the fun begin at Sidelines Bar and Grill. Open daily from 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. See you there.
Listen to The Point anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Find your favorite stations like The Point and discover more. Music stations, local and trusted news sources, sports talk and team coverage, plus today's biggest podcasts. Find it all on the Odyssey app. AUDACY.
Okay, here we are, Wrigley Field for the seventh inning stretch. And as I stumble out of Wrigley Field, who do I run into out on the sidewalk but Frenchie wearing his tailgater T-shirt? So if you're watching on Facebook, you just saw that Frenchie made the Rogues Gallery of tailgaters. His picture was on the screen. You wouldn't know it was Frenchie. But, boy, he sure looked sharp in that tailgater T-shirt, didn't he, Jose?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Frenchie, when that picture gets around, sales are going to go right through the roof. And then if you start wearing it downtown, folks will say, man, Frenchie's got one of those. I got to get one myself.
It's very Euro.
Well, I'm gonna wear it when I go voting tomorrow.
Good call.
Yeah. They might not let me vote, so.
Well, if the Democrats had anything to say about it, they probably wouldn't let you vote. Yeah, all the more reason to do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we can file a complaint.
Right.
All right. Yeah, though the Gamboa story, to me, it sounds like it's something that should be handled by the Attorney General. But unfortunately, we have an Attorney General that is like the mayor of Dededo, a do-nothing Attorney General. And last night I was watching Doug Moylan on Candid News, and Troy did a very good job interviewing him, and it was a good back and forth. There was a lot of information that were coming in, but this is typical of government corruption and not being followed through, being kicked down the corridor, and this is exactly what we're seeing over and over again, and it's very sad. I hope Doug Moylan gets the job again, because this would be a good thing for him to go after, and I think and I've felt that way from the get-go, like the chief of police would say. His bromance with Lulian Guerrero Cook's son-in-law, Nguyen, who was the governor's personal attorney when she started the mandate.
And consigliere also.
Yeah, it's a direct conflict of interest, and I think Lou should be worried if Doug gets elected that he's going to look into those contracts and the report that the auditor did, because the report made by the auditor was very good, and again, the Attorney General tried to cover it up and tried to do that lawsuit, which would have negated something that didn't exist. So it's absolutely amazing to see the crooked ways that are being going on, and the governor has the chutzpah to have an advertising that said that they would make things better and more safe and more honest. And it's what she has done for 4 years is exactly the opposite. And actually, I didn't think about it when it did happen, but actually listening to Doug Moylan last night, he was saying that when she deployed the National Guard on Marine Corps Drive, she was basically declaring a military emergency, and that should have the Attorney General should have gone to court and fight this, because this is exactly what she did, and it's unconstitutional. So there are a lot of things that have been either covered up or ignored by the media, except for Candid News and maybe the Jungle Watch, who have been talking about those things. The rest of the media has not been doing so. It's very interesting. By the way, I found out that the lady who is the new editor-in-chief of of the Guam Daily Post is she's the granddaughter of apparently somebody who was quite famous at the PDN years ago, whose name was Murphy, and I'm sure you knew him.
That would be Joe Murphy, the legendary Joe Murphy.
Well, apparently she's the granddaughter of Joe Murphy.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
So it's interesting to watch that. Basically, she's using her grandfather's credential to get in a newsroom. Well, she had worked for the Lulian Guerrero administration before getting that gig. So it's
my suspicion, Frenchie, is that the second thing that you mentioned was probably her ticket to the Post, not the first, because Joe was a great guy. He was a real journalist, and if the apple had not fallen very far from the tree, I don't think she would have fit into the current lash up at the Post. Having worked for the governor, no, that's something to put in your resume.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting. I think I did a little piece a couple of days ago in the Jungle Watch about what to watch out for the election, and do your homework and vote for people that have the same values as you do. And after the primary, I will do a follow-up story on all the things that have been going on. But we'll see first if spending $1 million has been worth it for the governor. I think the reason she's spending so much money is that she's worried. And the campaign against St. Nicholas and the real nasty stories that they've been putting out there. It's typical DNC type of playbook. Destroy your adversaries, invent stories, make fake stories, ruin their reputation. It's really the ugly side of politics, because politics can be nice, but in this case, it looks like Lou has been inspired by Mrs. Clinton. She's almost as nasty and almost as ugly looking as Miss Clinton is. So her voice is even more.
Hey, wait a minute. I'm not sure she's that nasty.
Well, I don't know. I think
I want to stick up for the governor. I don't think she's that nasty.
Yeah.
So, Frenchie, I read your latest Facebook. Jungle Watch post. Very good, right on point. And if you care to, when you want to give folks a heads up about a new post on Jungle Watch, please feel free to post it in the comments on our Facebook page here, and I'm sure it'll attract a lot of attention.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube and not on Facebook. So, but yeah.
Okay, even YouTube, you could do the same thing.
Yeah.
Or you could WhatsApp Jose, and we can put a link up for you.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that too. All right, that sounds good. Well, don't forget to go vote tomorrow. Vote early and vote often.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to be like my grandfather, who voted Republican until he died. Yeah.
Until he died. Yeah.
So
you're not dead yet. You're still standing, so.
Still fighting. See you later, Frenchie. Yeah, Frenchie looks great in his tailgater shirt, doesn't he, Jose? Yeah, so I was in this article about DITA holding almost $1.5 million for the healthcare study that was supposed to be put together about this dream that the governor's talking about, this healthcare center. And they missed all kinds of deadlines, and I went through that a lot of that the other day. I mentioned that Ken, after she was bragging about having done all this stuff, Ken did a sunshine, and they haven't produced any plans, any papers at all for his sunshine. So I'm going to pick up where I left off. One of the things they were supposed to do is they were supposed to update a 2016 Guam Memorial Hospital Task Force report, which discusses GMH's future role in healthcare, prepare a white paper that discusses all factors that should have a significant impact on the ability to provide medical and public health care. That was due in late November of 2021. Update the cost for GMH expansion project, the public health facility and central clinic, the communicable disease laboratory, and the medical campus master plan in order to develop a funding plan, due late July 2022. They're going to have to hurry like hell to make that deadline. Analyze the 2019 Army Corps of Engineers report on GMH to validate the costs, assumptions, and findings. Determine if any viable improvements and upgrades were overlooked by the Army Corps, and if all costs were accurately calculated, especially labor costs, due end of January 2022. Determine the best use of the current public health facility and the current GMH facility and land based upon facility revenue generating potential. Evaluate which medical and public health services should be provided at those sources, due July 2022. And so on. And the rest of the article is about all these missed deadlines that Gita hired a company called Matrix Design Group to put together, which amounts to planning, some of the important planning for the new hospital and medical complex, which Lou has bragged about. The plans are all done. You know, we're going to be breaking ground pretty soon. And no matter how hard the Daily News asked or how many times, Gita was stonewalling. Well, it all makes sense. This is not the kind of stuff you want to come out the day before the primary election that has gotten the governor's attention to the point that she spent almost $1 million to beat a guy who hasn't even spent $100,000.
And it's been a raw point for a lot of people asking, what are the plans then? What about GMH? What's going on with the state of healthcare? And her solution is a hospital that hasn't even been scribbled on a cocktail napkin.
Exactly. Okay, I got a couple more here that I'm probably going to use to wind up the show with. I've got one is called Christiane versus transgenderism. Christiane's name is Christi. She's a German. She lives in Deutschland, and her name is Christiane Nierslin Vollard. And she says she asserted basic biological reality in opposition to the claims of radical transgender ideologues. That's one article. And then the other one, which I think I'll do first, is really interesting. It's by somebody named Elordi in the Daily Wire, which is a great website, great conservative website. And the title of it is LGB. Now this is there's a comma of direct address right after that. LGB, drop the T. Right? LGBT. LGB says, drop the T. Trends on Twitter as many in gay community reject transgender ideology. Wow. Now, Jose, if that isn't the pot calling the kettle rainbow, I don't know what is, right? Yeah, some gay activists are saying, pump the brakes on transgender ideology. Earlier this month, the hashtag LGB drop the T trended on Twitter. So they're saying, we'll just go with the lesbian, gay, bisexual. We don't need no stinking T on the end when it means transgender. Users who said they identify as lesbian, gay, or bisexual criticized progressive gender ideology and attempted to distance themselves from transgender activists. Talk about a civil war, actually an uncivil war. Those tweeting under the hashtag expressed their frustration that, in their view, the transgender movement has co-opted the gay rights movement and turned it into something unrecognizable. Quote, the T hitched a ride a few years back, invited itself for dinner, and is trying to make out like it always lived here. It didn't, tweeted Rick Westhorpe, who describes himself as same-sex attracted in his Twitter bio. Pride marches, protests, and LBG rights happened without the T. I remember. I was there. I also remember T wasn't. Remember to keep LGB drop the T trending. It's getting noticed. LGB drop the T. And the article goes on to say, and there's some more of these tweets here. No force teaming with homophobic, misogynistic, and anti-women groups. And that was from Avril Peppard. And then Super Villain says, no thanks, I'm gay, which means I exclusively like men, not women who think they're men, tweeted Joss. Joss also praised author J.K. Rowling, that's Harry Potter, after she tweeted an article critical of the transgender movement, saying she inspired him to love reading when he was 8, and now she's fighting for his rights as a gay man. I got a feeling J.K. Rowling wouldn't see it that way. A slew of gay activists posted under the trending hashtag that transgender activists must be iced out of the movement because they have crossed a line. One Twitter user said her daughter is lesbian, but began identifying as a boy after 3 of her friends said they were transgender. I support dropping the T from LGB. These are not the same, she tweeted. Many young gay people are being drawn into social and medical transition. It needs to stop. Real change is coming to the LGB community, and I'm here siding with them, hoping to see it happen. Any group, as you were, any group of people seeking to silence women into submission and exploit the lesbian community can go to hell, tweeted another user. Another Twitter user said separating trans-identifying people from lesbian, gay, and bisexual people is a necessary step because transgender ideology negates the objective truth of men and women, which in turn negates the existence of gay, lesbian, or bi people. Now, here we have the homosexual saying the transgender ideology negates the objective truth of men and women. Okay, I'm going to stop there for now. I notice I've got somebody in the green room that I want to talk to. Dr. Ron McNinch wants to talk about LGB versus T. Go ahead, Ron.
Hey, half a day, Senator, half a day, Guam. You know, I think that an example of this is the sports issue. You know, I think that the grand controversy that was kicked off by the demands on, you know, demanding that women's sports be integrated on what could be called artificial means, particularly contact sports, where young women are expected now to compete directly with the people who feel that they're transgender. I think.
Hey, Ron, you must be talking about my article in the Guam Pacific Island Times.
Well, I'll have to check that. Yes, probably the same subject.
It was a tremendous article. I wrote it. It's about Rugby Boy.
Right.
When Rugby Boy played in the, and injured 3 girls in the process.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ron.
Same thing goes. And by the way, I think that as far as, you know, the women's sports, I think that women's sports should be for women, and actually quite a number of young women participate in sports and value sports, and take great resentment and umbrage when they're being forced to compete, you know, against essentially male athletes in their own sport. And I think that was part of it. The other thing I saw recently is that there's many gay parents who have children, elementary school children, and they're objecting to the sexualization of curriculum across the country. And they are objecting to it because they don't feel that their young children should be indoctrinated at early ages on basically sexual ideology, and they're gay themselves, and are gay and lesbian, and they disagree with it. And so there's this whole concern now about grooming young people by exposing them so young to all kinds of ideologically based sexual information that in previous years no one would ever talk to their little kids about in those sorts of ways, ever. And now it's considered something that's being promoted by various folks. And that's part of what's driving this movement also, I think.
Yeah, I agree, Ray. Ron. And it's really interesting that these folks over on that side now have even turned on the so-called transgenders, which from the very beginning was, as far as anybody who really thought it through, was a hoax at best.
Well, I think it's downright scary that very, very young people are being encouraged to make very radical choices in their lives. And I think what I'm very concerned about is, you know, even surgeries done on very young children over, you know, just choices. And I think that, or choices that they believe that children are making. And I think that needs to be given a lot more attention, because to me it's downright scary.
Yeah, I agree, Ron. So we'll keep after it here on Tall Tales, and if you go, the paywall's down on the old columns on Pacific Island Times, and I wrote one right at the time that the whole rugby boy incident came up in high school rugby, so you probably will enjoy it.
Well, I'll take a look at it. And by the way, Senator, I want to let you know also, I've never had more parents and young women talk to me about education than over that issue and how concerned they were over it.
And well, they should be.
And they were deeply concerned.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, sir. Have a great weekend.
We won't, but thanks for the good wish. Okay, I got Repeat on the line here, and Repeat just wants to talk about another dismissed case. But we'll head for Churchill Downs, and then we'll come back to Repeat.
Half a day. This is Clara Manglanya from Security Title. A power of attorney can be a useful tool in a real estate transaction, but if abused, it can result in devastating loss. Choosing your representative should be done with the utmost care and should be very specific about the powers being granted. To mitigate loss, the team at Security Title confirms with the owner prior to using a power of attorney to sell the property. Each transaction is unique. Let the professionals at Security Title use our experience to facilitate a secure closing. We are here to help.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training.
Hi, I'm Jerry Roberts, and every day on The Ray Gibson Show, I get to comment on the incredibly diverse, fun, challenging, sometimes frustrating, often exciting, but always interesting world of work. I hope you'll be there with us.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
in the home stretch on Tall Tales. I've got Repeat on the line who wants to talk about another dismissed. Well, if it's Repeat, maybe it's 2 dismissed cases. We'll find out. Afternoon, Repeat.
Good afternoon, Uncle Bob and Tall Tail or Tailgaters and Jose. You know, it felt like Groundhog Day today. Getting another case dismissed. It was just one, but it was still it was a second-degree felony, still a serious case. But you know, it really wasn't me, the magistrate, from the get-go. Had questions to the prosecutor, who had to then backpedal because of how poorly the complaint was written. Again, there didn't seem to be a crime alleged, and the object of the crime was omitted. And when the judge asked, well, what was it that was supposed to have been stolen? He goes, well, we can assume that, and then he stopped him right there. He says, no, we're not in the business of assuming. We can't make assumptions. You have to tell me. You have to tell me what it was that was the object of the attempted theft. And he said, well, it could have been anything. Well, you just can't come to a probable cause hearing saying we think that this dude was trying to steal stuff.
Wow.
So again, this is symptomatic of the problem that's happening over there, and it stems from the very top.
Well, we're going to have a chance to do something about it tomorrow, aren't we, Repeat?
A chance to send them a message, but the real where it really counts is going to be at the general election.
Of course. Yeah.
So, but I'm going to continue to harp on this because although I'm on the winning side, I care about this island and it causes me concern.
Well, I hope you do keep on, Pete, because the things you're saying really need to be said, and coming from someone in your position, you have tremendous credibility. So and I'm sure our tailgaters appreciate your coming forward with this information.
It's all public record, but I'm not revealing any trade secrets or confidential information. This is all public record, and Candid has done their share of exposing this, but it's really serious because right now the AG hasn't even addressed this, issue. The only time he ever addresses it is when he's down at the legislature and they ask him about it, but according to him, when he's down there, it's peachy keen.
True enough.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll commiserate with you guys over the weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday.
Okay, Pete. Thank you. So I'm looking at Facebook here, and Pete had a comment on Chris Barnett's, the vandalism of Chris Barnett's sign. And he poses the question, but what if the torching made him look better? and then, let's see, what's the guy's name here? It's kind of a Schmitty name, right? It's a guy named James M. Schmidt. And I heard this story about this guy, this guy named Schmidt. He went to a Halloween party one time. And because it was a Halloween party, he wore a mask. But, after he was there for a while, he drank so much beer that he couldn't stand the mask anymore, and he took it off, right? And the next day, I said to him, hey, where's your mask? And he said, last night I got Schmidt-faced. Yeah, I think James is a guy that's told us that he's seen himself on the Schmidt list more than once, but he raises a very interesting point. The point taking money in the LLG campaign is not sure if that is irony or not. Yeah, it's ironic that I said something nice about Lou one time. I don't remember when it was or what it was, but I'm sure I did once upon a time.
I think it's a smart thing to do. Why pay for ads to the choir?
Yeah.
Right?
For her, it's where she wants to be, yeah. And for us, we have no choice. Because when it's campaign season, I don't remember exactly the legal definition of that, but You have to let political candidates advertise on your show, and you have to charge them the lowest applicable rate off your schedule of rates for that spot for that particular thing. So if we said, no, Lou, we don't like your politics, we're not going to cover your ads, we might not be on the air. But yeah, so for us, you know, the station makes, and the irony maybe is this. Maybe I'm just not looking at it deep enough. The irony is this. The Lou's campaign is paying us to say unkind things about her. And that is pretty ironic.
That's ironic.
Yeah, that's pretty ironic, yeah. Okay, I got about 2 minutes left to go, right?
About 30 seconds or so.
All right, well, I got my sign right here. I'll show you what it looks like. And, you know, I use it at the end of the show to say goodbye to our president. It's become a very popular saying, let's go, Brandon. And if you remember, it was a misapprehension of something else that was directed, another slogan that was directed at Joe Brandon. And a news reporter tried to cover it up by saying, let's go, Brandon. See you Monday.
The Point is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam, 93.3 FM and 104.3 HD3.
8 hours from now, I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. Barring an appeal, the Justice Department court-ordered to release by noon today the affidavit used to get the search warrant for President Trump's home. But with everything the government wanted kept secret, blacked out.
U.S. Magistrate Judge Bruce Reinhardt, after his review, concluded the federal government made its case to keep portions of it from the public. The judge said information such as names of witnesses, federal agents, and those who are uncharged, as well as legal strategies and grand jury information would be compromised with no redaction.
Fox's Gernal Scott, former President Trump, has called for the affidavit's unsealing without any redactions. His senior advisor, Jared Kushner.
I think that's in the public's interest. This way people can know whether there's a serious allegation or this is more manufactured.
Kushner says the public distrusts the Department of Justice. President Biden in political attack mode yesterday, telling a Democrat campaign kickoff rally in Maryland.
Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans have made their choice to go backwards, full of anger, violence, hate, and division. But we've chosen a different path. Forward, the future, unity, hope, and optimism.
President predicted the abortion issue would be a big factor